All right, we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Drew Cali's philosophy, where I just thought about this in the bathroom. Actually, strange place to think about it, right? Which is the new motto, perhaps. Still thinking, but the new motto, perhaps, for this new podcast is would be so the Drew Cali's philosophy done right. Now, I don't think it's appropriate, especially because I don't even have a bachelor's degree in philosophy, nor a master's degree, PhD. So, but anyways, we'll keep thinking. Now let's start off today with a beautiful quote. I don't know about beautiful. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but it's by the myth, the legend, Martin Heidegger himself. He reads. I'm sorry. He wrote, "Man acts as though he were the shaper and master of language, while in fact language remains the master of man." Now, as someone who did study speech and language pathology in college and was intending to go to graduate school, be a speech therapist, I can say with certainty that I don't know if this is true or not. And the reason why is because one time I asked my speech therapy professor, Professor Mayette. She said, I asked her, "Hey, Professor Mayette, is it possible that perhaps humanity is missing out by not communicating in an alternative form other than language?" So put another way, is there another way to communicate? Is there another way for human beings to communicate other than language, spoken language? Or is there another more accurate, better way to communicate rather than written and spoken language? And she pointed out, as language capabilities decreased, so did cognitive cognitive capabilities. So let that sink in for a bit, and let's get right into it. So I want to pick up where we left off by pointing out that Heidegger is a poet of language. He loves language. He thinks that language is the master of man, and in order to fully access the relationship between man and being, we have to consider language. So he writes here, for thinking is, I'm sorry, this is the introduction rather, and the introduction is written by Mr. William Lovett. He writes about Heidegger that for thinking is man's according with and responding to being, and quote, language is the primal dimension in which that responsive corresponding takes place. So for Heidegger, words point to something beyond themselves. They are translucent bearers of being. He also writes that Mr. Lovett thinks that Heidegger is concerned with language such that we should allow Heidegger's language to permeate our minds in a different way than what we are usually used to. So for example, right, let me see if I can find these words here. I believe it's on the next page. Here we go. So words such as essence, technology, metaphysics, and truth. We must read Heidegger's definitions and study his ways of using words with care, for these alone, and not our own preconceptions and ingrained notions of meaning, will tell us what words like truth, essence, technology, or metaphysics are truly conveying. So also Heidegger writes that he has said that language is the house of being, and the reciprocal relation between being and man is fulfilled through language. Now, finally, Heidegger's use of words is very often peculiar to himself. It is characteristically demanding and often strange to our thought. So the essence of what Mr. Lovett is saying here is he thinks that Heidegger's use of language is not only peculiar and particular to Heidegger himself, but also we should approach certain words such that we don't jump to any meaning or any conclusion. That we should take certain words, such as these, right, essence and technology, in terms of what Heidegger truly means, and not necessarily what we think he means or what think he wants, what we think Heidegger wants to mean, right? And Mr. Lovett even writes here that we should use context clues, and we should truly take what he's saying as a whole. Now, I also want to point out that the German text and not the English text will be the most revealing. So for all you who speak German, I don't know how many of you there are, but if you really truly want to study Heidegger and truly know his work to the smallest, if you want to best know Heidegger's work, you should read the German. You should learn the German, read the German. But moving right along, let's also move on to this very important topic, which is, for Heidegger, the primary question to be asked is always how and never why. His is descriptive and evocative thinking, in the sense that it tells us of what is and of what is taking place, and seeks to bring it before us. The reality described by Heidegger is manifold, and movements and interactions are what must fundamentally be recounted. So we should not necessarily focus on objects and concepts brought up by Heidegger as isolated and not intricately interwoven to other concepts. I can't think of an example right now, but just keep that in mind. Okay, we should always be concerned with the movements and interactions, and those are what must be fundamentally recounted. Now, moving right along, so pervasively does unitive relational thinking inform every aspect of Heidegger's work that one who dismissed such thinking out of hand would risk extinguishing for himself any hope of understanding what Heidegger is saying. The reader must in fact become so alert to inclusive complexities of thought that he must be sensitive to their presence. So keep that in mind. Lastly, the fundamental Greek experience of reality was, Heidegger believes, one in which men were immediately responsive to whatever was presenting to them. They openly received whatever spontaneously met them, and that's good. According to Heidegger, I would say that is good. We shouldn't necessarily view and study and receive things and concepts, things, as how we think we want them to be, but rather as they truly are. However, Greek men openly received and made known that which offered itself to him. Yes, yet, nevertheless, he tended, in the face of the onrush of the revealing of being in all that met him, to seek to master it. Philosophy sprang from the fundamental Greek experience of reality, in which they received openly what was that thing's being, and also what was presenting itself to them, but they also took what they experienced openly and decided to want to control it. And for Heidegger, this is where the modern essence of technology lies, because as we can clearly demonstrate with numerous modern examples, our understanding of technology and science is such that we use science in order to understand certain physical phenomena, and then we use this knowledge of what is true of the physical world in order to grasp it more so and to control it, like computers, like medicine, like optic technology, right? These are all ways in which we seek to understand so that we can master it. But according to Mr. Lovett, man could represent reality to himself. That is, he could set it up over against himself as it appeared to him. Now, but due to this desire to control, to understand, then control, this is not truly how man should view the world. Instead, he should view it not not with the end goal in mind to control, but rather to truly understand. And lastly, Heidegger thinks that in the medieval period, men were preoccupied with the question of how they can be right with God, how they can be assured of salvation, i.e., how they might find enduring security. And through this control of the physical world, man thus accomplishes this security that he wants from God and from presumably Christianity and Catholicism. Guys, we are out of time. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Any questions, comments, or concerns, please direct them toward Instagram, and I hope you all have a great day.